With the recent controversies around book banning, I wanted to focus my final project on the ethics and organization regarding racism and queer theory in cataloging. To begin, I want to start by citing the ALA Code of Ethics, which has recently been revised this past June. It states, "We affirm the inherent dignity and rights of every person. We work to recognize and dismantle systemic and individual biases, to confront inequity and oppression, to enhance diversity and inclusion, and to advance racial and social justice in our libraries, communities, professions, and associations through awareness, advocacy, education, collaboration, services, and allocation of resources and spaces." To begin, I'll address the most controversial aspect of cataloging and the most inherently lacked form of ethics: racism. One piece in particular that I found relating to the miscataloguing of racism is titled Ethical Cataloging and Racism in Special Collections by author Elizabeth Hobart. This piece describes the cataloger's experience throughout her career, in which she found racism both uncomfortable and uncanny, and therefore cataloged certain pieces in ways that minimized historical context, and against her now ethical decision-making. She elaborates on 3 examples: a yearbook containing racist illustrations depicting a lynching, a book written in the voice of Lady Astore's nanny, and a letter citing a race riot in 1986. Hobart explains her biggest mistake by stating, "Although facing racism can be uncomfortable for catalogers, the potential harm caused by minimizing racism should outweigh this discomfort. In special collections, which often hold historical collections, minimizing racism risks presenting a whitewashed version of history. While some materials will still be findable, others will be hidden, which in turn can contribute to a limited understanding of the history of racism." In another article by Elizabeth Hobart titled Anti-Racism in the Catalog, she defines specific issues pertaining to eccentric terminology within cataloging issues. She limits her findings to 21 specific works of literature that all contain both aspects and vocabulary regarding to racism. But when searched in an online catalog and metadata services, these titles fall short in racist subject headings as well as anti-racist core catalog records. Some of the titles she searches are, but not limited to, The New Jim Crow Law, Little Fires Everywhere, Sister Outside, The Color of Law, The Hate U Give, Me and White Supremacy, as well as I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. While many of these titles lack anti-Semitic apparency, they're definitive within the broadening scope of their text. Hobart elaborates that while each individual text composes their own ISBN and bibliographic information, mark fields within codes 520 and 650 lack informative comparison in relation to racism. Based on their titles alone, many of these bibliographic records disregarded any comparison in their subject headings and their note fields, in direct correlation to racism. Many descriptions differed based on its genre as well as its targeted demographic. Hobart goes on to state that works of fiction were least likely to include terms about race in the summary, while works for children especially implied race by mentioning either looking different or celebrating diversity. This points to the problems within the Library of Congress subject headings and with catalogers' application of it. The Library of Congress subject headings has long been criticized, and although improvements have been made, many problems remain. For instance, the new Jim Crow would logically include a subject heading for either Jim Crow laws, justice, or African Americans. It cannot because no subject heading exists. Jim Crow law redirects to African Americans' legal status or laws. When the subject heading was proposed in 2019, the Library of Congress deemed that the heading would be quote-unquote, a disservice to the user, as it would separate this particular set of laws from similar laws. The subject heading for whites includes a scope note that the heading is used for works for a sociological nature, especially in countries where they are a minority. The United States, which is 73% white, does not fit this scope, which may explain the term's infrequent use within their records. Other terms have similarly fine shades of distinction. Racism, for example, may be applied to, quote, works on racism as an attitude as well as both attitude or overt discriminatory behavior. But works limited to overt discriminatory behavior should be entered as race discrimination. This distinction is not likely to help users, especially since they do not see these scope notes. As you can see within the next slide, here are some of the titles mentioned. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sang by Maya Angelou, which is a well-renowned book, shows an illustration of a bird as well as an orange cover. Nothing about it states racism. Therefore, it is not cataloged as a book pertaining to racism. The same with The Hate U Give, as well as Little Fires Everywhere and The Color of Law. Always adding the subject heading for racism when a work is about racism will ensure that the word appears in the record, which will help with keyword searches while allowing users to locate works on this topic. While cataloging racism is one of the largest and most uncomfortable issues, LGBTQ plus literature is suggested as being just as confining. Author Emily Drabinski elaborates on similar notions, thus pertaining to homosexuality defined in cataloging and indexing issues within her article, Queering the Catalog, Queer Theory and the Politics of Correction. She begins by explaining the most notable issues are materials that are linguistically controlled within subject headings, notes, and classification structures. The universal languages and controlled vocabularies act as a defining architecture that organize LGBTQ plus literature into two defining aspects, queer perspective and queer theory, thus arguing that queer perspective articulates an organized train and premeditated form of thought from the ideas of a queer individual, whereas a queer theory is a suspicion and assumption presumed and unauthorized by that of an individual. Drabinski's main objective is to provide insight on the issues focused on classification and cataloging decisions that are immersed as both objective and neutral ideologies working to correct these ongoing biases and accusations throughout the library science cataloging infrastructure. Queer theory is distinctive from the lesbian and gay studies, and this distinction, while necessarily drawn in broad strokes, is helpful for understanding the potential limits of a corrective approach to classification and cataloging. Lesbian and gay studies grew out of recognition that those identities were largely absent from the history record. The goal was recuperative, and scholars like John Boswell and Lillian Federman sought to locate lesbians and gays within history, where there had previously been missing. Queer theory, however, argued that this recuperative approach was dangerous. It froze identities in time and universally erased real differences that accompanied same-sex sexuality on the scales of time and place. Scholars such as David Halpern and Eve Sedgwick explored how gay and lesbian identities were and are constituted within the first place. Rather than taking these identities as stable and fixed, queer theory sees these identities as shifting and contextual. Whereas lesbian and gay studies take genders and sexual identities as its objectives and its objects of study, queer theory is interested in how these identities come discursively and socially into being in the kind of work that they do in the world. Lesbian and gay studies is concerned with what homosexuality is. Queer theory is concerned with what homosexuality does. Researchers such as Berman Marshall, Foskett, Frieden, and Kaya Roberto have weighed in heavily on the categorization of LGBTQ plus issues. Their research dates as far back from 1970s up until most recently with contemporary depictions as of 2022. Each theorist argues that library knowledge organization systems of all kinds fail to accurately and respectfully organize library materials about social groups and identities that lack social and political power. What I found to be most problematic is at code RC560.G45, the point in the classification schedule for sexual and psychosexual conditions suggests that transsexuality is a psychological disorder that can be remedied with treatment rather than just another way of existing in a gendered world, or a political position as well as a religious or philosophical experience. This can be problematic, especially within subject headings, because when these biases are failures or fail to be told through ideological stories, these biases continued. We learn these negative stereotypes about both race, gender, class, and other social identities. An example of this is that heterosexuality is normative, that gay and lesbian sexuality is the only sexual identity that ought to be examined, and that queer sexuality is inherently deviant when taught in terms of Christianity or through heterosexual and normative experiences. While children, teens, as well as adults continue to search and become more progressive within their literary experiences, subject headings can help to guide them in finding actual and factual information that can change either previous biases or more progressive theories and thought.